Hi, welcome back to SQL Server 2016 Administration. This is the Advanced Security Administration section on extended events. In this video, we'll look at extended event sessions and templates. Now, in this video, we want to learn how to create different extended event sessions. We'll look at the templates that are provided by SQL Server and how these make things easier and how to modify those. And then we'll actually create a new session and save it on the server. As we mentioned in the overview, sessions are really the primary way that we use extended events. And they're kind of this bucket that contain all the information available about the extended event, the packages, the targets, the actions, the filters, etc. Now the sessions exist on the server and can be stopped or started, but they always exist there. So they're a first-class object like a database. They can be enabled to run at instant startup, which is very handy for production systems so that the information is always be collected. And then as with any other object that's a first class in SQL Server, we can script out the session itself. Now to create extended event sessions, we have options. There's a wizard, a GUI, and T-SQL that will allow us to work with them. And we'll look at all three in the demo. Now there's standard T-SQL DDL that's used to create an alter drop type syntax. And as I mentioned, this is an object that is kind of a first class object at the instance level. We can also save our settings as a template so that they can be reused for future sessions. And then we have standard SQL permissions that we can use for managing these sessions as well. As far as templates go, we have multiple templates included, and they're designed to achieve somewhat the parity with trace so that users are comfortable working with them. Each template is designed to help with specific types of data collection, and it's really just this base from which we can build our own session. Right? A template just kind of gives us a starting point, and then we create a session from that. We can certainly alter and edit templates or create new ones if we wish to. So let's look at a demo where how we set these up. Here we are back in Management Studio. As we looked at last time, there are some default sessions that are set up when we install SQL Server. If we want to create a new one, we have the ability to right-click here, and you'll see I can create a new session or do the wizard. Let's walk through the wizard to start with. Now, when the wizard appears, what you'll notice is that this is, in fact, a long process. There's a lot of items we're going to set up. So after the introduction, I give it a name, and let's call this packed data, and we'll say started on server startup so that it's always collecting data. And then we have the option, do I not want to use a template or use a template? In this case, I want to start by looking at my templates because this gives me some information already and it fills things out. So if you notice the count query locks, this counts the number of locks acquired by each query. And so this is looking for lock problems. If I feel like I've got too many locks and blocks on my system, this is the template I may want to use. And if I expand this down, you'll see I have a number of options. So locks and blocks is a category and there's one template inside. For profile equivalent, you'll see there's a number of items in here, and actually the T-SQL one is one I'll probably use. Now, this captures all T-SQL statements. There's query execution, there's system monitors, various other ones as well. And this list is extensible. But let's start here. We'll start with this template and move forward. And you'll notice it then asks me to select the events to capture. And I'll try to make this a little bit bigger. You can see what we're doing. So by default, this is equivalent to trace. So we're capturing the connection, login, logout, RPC started, and batch starting. Not necessarily a great list of things. Other things we may care about. So we can choose those. You'll notice by default I have this categorization system. So I have a channel and then I have a category. And I can pick and choose what I want here. So maybe I don't care about most of these methods, but let's come down here and say there are things that I care about in terms of trying to track activity that's going on. So maybe in this case I want to look at data masking, and then I'm going to go down here just a little further that I want to look at transactions as well. So these kind of help me gather what's going on. So this is a way of filtering. You can see there's hundreds of events. There's actually, I think, over 1,500 events at this point in time. So it's things that I may want to grab. So I've got SQL batch starting, but maybe what I really want to do is I want to get, when am I getting a batch completed? Because that will tell me how long a batch took. So maybe that's an issue I have. And then see if there's anything else that looks good here. Maybe get the plans if I want and preparations, things like that. I want data masking. So I just want to see if anything's going on. So I add these two events, and it's the standard text box of add remove as I want. Once I've done that, let's click next. You'll notice then I have the global fields, which are common to all events. So I can capture things that I think are important here that may help me better understand what's going on. These can have an impact on performance, so I want to be careful about what's going on and which ones of these I actually connect. But let's say I just care about the SQL text in general so I can keep track of what's going on. I'll hit next. Now I have the ability to do filtering. So is there anything I care about here? If I'm filtering, well, there isn't a lot there. Maybe I care about, though, when the batch is completed. And I'm getting a little bit, it's acting a little funny here, but there are a list of values that should pop up here, and I'm not. All right, let's go back to where I click next. We'll do that. All right, so let's click next. So here we can set up filters for the different items we have. For example, if I go to data masking, you'll see there's a number of items in here that I can choose. For example, maybe I only care if this comes from a particular client. So let's call it that. That filtering is for this item, so you'll notice that I can kind of pick other items as well. So maybe I care about other things where I want to say there's an AND clause, and so here maybe I care about something else for this one. So maybe I care about when the SQL text is greater than equal, less than equal kind of things. Let's say select star. So, I care about some of these items that I can put in here. And then I'll say next, and I'll pick the targets, my data storage. So I can save it to a file, and so I can pick a file, and you'll see here I can locate it and give it a name. This will be a .xcl file, so it'll look like that. And then I can choose what the maximum file size is here to avoid overrunning my system in megabytes or gigabytes. And then I can have a rollover and up to 5 files. So I could have packed data 01, 02, 03, 04, 05. If I went beyond that size, then it would have to delete the first file and start going over. You could also say work only with the most recent data and the ring buffer target. So keep a certain number of events in memory, set limits here on memory if I want, that kind of thing. Let's just use the ring buffer for now. And now you see I get a summary of these items here that going on, and I have a script as well. So if I click the script button, it will add it in the background. We'll take a look at that in a moment. And then when I say finish, it's going to create this session. So I have the options. Do I want to start it? Watch it live. Now when I click that, you'll see that I created an event session, and my DDL here is pretty simple. Create event session, give it a name on my server. And then I'm adding events. So I've added these particular events here, right? And for each one, I have an action, which is the kind of the target data that I want to get here, right? And so I'm getting different data for different events because by default, that's the way it goes. And then I have a where clause. So for my data masking, I've said the host name equals packdemo. For my login, I've seen that they're listed for a number of items. So I could certainly play with this and alter this so that I can see what's going on. And at the bottom here, I see the with clause. So I've got max memory here, and then the event retention, and I've got the max dispatch and other items that are part of what's going on in my session. And these are all options that are documented in Books Online. So it's fairly simple to look at that. Now if I look at this, you can see that I've got the ability to script this out, right, as a create or drop. I can export this session if I want to, which will save it as a template file. And you'll notice that I've got this location where templates exist. And let's take a look at that real quick, and I'll pop that up on a File Explorer window. Let's grab that again, and we'll pop it over there so we can see it. And I don't have anything in there right now where this is located, but I could certainly put things in there. And then these templates would then appear in my list of templates if I create a new session. Now if I do the new session without the wizard, I get that properties dialog. You can see here I get the same type of thing, right? I've got these templates listed. I could certainly pick from a file if I have my own template somewhere else. And I can go through all the various settings here as I would like to do for any other session. The wizard makes it a little bit easier, but I can continue to add new sessions if I wanted. So I could certainly say, let's add another new session, and we'll call this demo. And let's base it on, let's say, weight statistics. And I could just say, okay, I think, here I've got some events already there. Data storage is listed there. My other items are listed there. I can say, okay. And it'll create that session as well. And I can continue to add sessions. As you know, these two are running. These three are stopped right now, as denoted in here. And I can start and stop these as needed, and then use them to monitor my server and get a feel for what's going on. Hopefully this gives you an idea of what it means to do a session in a template. And now let's move forward again. In our next video, we'll take a look at extended events targets.